Next, I want to show you how to control audio volume on a media element. And so far, my test videos don't have any audio on them, so I figured we would try this with a standalone audio file and see how that works. I can close up the document we've been working on, and I'll just go down to my working files folder and open up the try volume control number 2 HTML file. Again, we'll open it up in our browser, and we'll also open it up in our text application so we can edit it. Now this one starts out similar to our video file. You'll notice that we treat audio in the exact same way, and the only real difference is we're using an audio tag instead of a video tag. I have multiple sources for my audio because just like video, not all browsers are going to be able to play all types of video sources. So I've set up two. One is an OGG file, and the other one is an MP3 file. And those two file formats will play in most browsers that we have today. Just like our video tag, we also have a place where we can put text for people who have older browsers and won't be able to use the HTML5 features. And just like our last file, I've already set up a couple of buttons for our volume control that we can use. Now you'll notice that my audio tag does contain a controls attribute, and that's why we're seeing the standard browser native controls here for my audio file playback. The standard controls, of course, include playback and tracking, and we also have a sound control here at the end. But for Firefox browsers, this is just a mute control. Let's try it out as it exists right now. I'll hit the play button, hear our music, and I can use the sound control here just to mute that sound while it continues playback. And of course, I can turn it back on. Now let me just stop that playback, and we'll go back to our document. What I'd like to do first is just find out what the current volume is and place a value here on the screen so that we can see it. The volume is a property just like duration and current time were for our video elements, so it should be pretty easy for us to set it up. Now, as you can see, I've already set up a span tag with an ID of volume for the place where we want that number to go. So let's go down to our script tag, and first I'll use my getElementById function to find that span tag. We'll do document dot getElementById, and we're searching for volume. We're going to be changing the text inside that, so I'm going to use the .innerHTML property, just like before. And let's set that equal to the current audio volume. Now, just like before, I know we're going to be accessing the audio element a number of times. So let me go in and create a variable for that first. I'll do that right up here on the line above. I'll just create an element called audio, and we'll set that equal to a document getElementById of the audio element. And now we can just use that audio variable whenever we want to refer to that item. Down here in my statement, when I'm assigning the HTML, I'll assign that to the audio volume by using .syntax and accessing the volume property. So that would just be audio.volume. Now let's see what that looks like. I'll save my changes, we'll go back, and I'll simply refresh the page, and you can see that our volume is currently set to 1. And that tells us a little bit about the volume control itself. The volume value will always be a number between 0 and 1. And we can change that value however we'd like. So let's set up our buttons to do just that. I'd like to set up a small increment when the user presses the down or up buttons. So what we'll do is we'll change the volume by 1/10 of its current value. Now let's go back over to our document and we'll set up a couple of functions. First, I'll set up the click event handlers right here inside of each one of my button elements. We'll use onClick equals, and let's make up a function name. For volume down, I'll just call the function vol_dwn, and of course we need parentheses since it's a function. And I'll go ahead and copy that for our other volume control. For volume up, we'll simply use vol_up as our function name. And now, of course, I need to write both of those functions. So I'll go down at the bottom of our script tag, and we'll add in a function keyword. And I'll set up our first function, vol_down. We'll put in a couple of braces for the open and close of the function. And let's go inside and think what we're going to be doing. I want to take the volume number that we just displayed right here and reduce it by 0.1. So we'll just start off with the value itself. audio.volume. And once again, I can make use of one of our special operators. In this case, I want to reduce the volume, so I'm going to use a minus equals operator, and I want to reduce it by a specific value, 0.1. Our volume up function is going to be very similar, so I'll go ahead and copy this function. We'll paste it down below the first one, change the name to volume up, and what we're going to do here is we'll use a different operator. We'll use the plus equals operator. And that way it'll take the original volume and simply add 0.1 to it. Now we've got our buttons set up and our functions. Let's save our changes and see how it works. I'll refresh my page so that we have the new code that we just wrote. And then we'll just play our audio and see if we can turn the volume down. We'll hit play, then a few clicks on the volume down function. And you can definitely hear that the volume is decreasing to a point where I've got it down low, but our indicator is staying at 1, and that's because we didn't update the indicator. Now, let me just check the volume up while we're here. Now you can see I can bring it back up and back down again. So our controls are working. Let's see if we can go fix the indicator. All we really need to do is redo this statement every time we change the volume. This will actually set the number in the volume indicator to whatever the current audio volume is as we move it around. So I'm just going to copy that statement, and I'll go into each one of my functions, and we'll simply add that statement right after our change in volume. There's our volume down, and there's our volume up. Now let me save our changes, and we'll go test one more time. I'll refresh the page. We'll restart our audio. And this time, when I move the volume down, you can actually see the number change as well. Now, we probably have to do some rounding because you can see we sometimes get a whole bunch of digits here. But overall, our volume control is working as expected. Now, I just want to change the display a little bit. Let me go back over here and change what we're going to set up. The first thing I want to do is change the number itself that we're seeing. A lot of people don't like to see decimal points when they don't have to. So I'm going to take this value and simply multiply it by 10. So it'll look like a number between 0 and 10 instead of 0 and 1. I'll do a simple multiply by 10. And we'll add that into each one of our statements so that it's always consistent whenever we update the volume indicator. Then, to get rid of all those extra zeros, we want to use the same rounding function we did before. I'll enclose this audio volume 10 in parentheses. We'll go ahead and set that up. And then before that, I'll just call the math.round function. And again, we're going to want that set up for all of our statements, so I might as well just copy our finished one here, and I'll paste it in place of the other two. That'll be a little faster. Now, we're not only changing the volume, but we've prettied up and made the indicator look a little bit nicer. Let's save our changes, and we'll try it one more time. I'll just refresh. We'll hit play on the audio, and we'll try the down control and the up control. And notice we have nice round values for our volume indicator in each case. Now, I did this on an audio file, but this works in exactly the same way if you've got a soundtrack on a video. Just add the volume parameter and set up whatever controls you want.